Red Moon Roleplaying, in association with the Adventure Hook podcast, proudly present a Black Spire Studios rendition of the Advanced Dungeons & Dragons 2nd Edition classic Planescape adventure To Baator and Back, which we've humorously subtitled Hell is Other People. This episode contains themes and situations that may be offensive to some audiences. Listener discretion is advised. Greetings. My name is Mattiaz of Red Moon Roleplay, but tonight I am Sir Milton Vespers, the Atoner. To Baator and Back. Episode 4. What nightmares may yet come. My secret shame is that I am but a shadow of what I once was, and the lies that have followed with that now run so deep I have almost begun to believe them myself. But now, at long last, redemption is finally within my reach, and I will risk everything I have left to grasp it. My very soul depends on it. It was still a great surprise to me one late autumn morning when Pope Zealous XV suddenly summoned me for a special mission on behalf of the entire Church of Solaris. It would appear that many years ago a nobleman by the name of Finot Pickett, from the neighboring kingdom of Navilon, already an academy-trained war wizard of some talent, had turned from his carefully regimented arcane schooling to delve into heretical practices, including the study of the forbidden school of necromancy and even demonology. This notorious heretic had even managed to consistently evade capture by the Inquisition, and was believed to have long fled the continent. But now, many years later, it seems that he has returned, which, as it turned out, was of great interest to one of the Theocracy of Solon's most famous inquisitors, a man by the name of Virgil St. Frostkiss. Truly he is a priest who enjoys the divine blessings of the sun. For years ago, the Pope recognized his rare divine gifts, and so had the man canonized. In the White Cathedral there is now a holy bust bearing his likeness, now adorning the Hall of Saints, and for good reason. This inquisitor had a reputation of being able to sniff out an arcanist, and once captured to make even the most impenitent of suspects confess. However, it appears that this Finot Pickett had managed to evade capture by this particular inquisitor on more than one occasion, and that embarrassment remains a blemish on his otherwise spotless record. To this end, the Pope has put 20 temple soldiers under my command, and in turn has put myself under the Inquisitor's leadership to assist him in finally bringing this heretic to justice. The Pope also made it understood that Lord Pickett is likely in possession of some key political intelligence concerning the nobles of his homeland, and Zealous is keen for his private interrogators to be the ones to obtain it first. The importance that Lord Finot Pickett be captured alive and returned to the Pope in the Holy City, and in a condition where the man can still be properly put to the question, cannot be understated. For it seems that additionally our neighbour King Daemon Drakesmore I and the Academy of War Magic also consider Lord Pickett's return to be as much an embarrassment to the reputation of Navilon as his evasion from capture was to the Pope and the Inquisition. As such, they've sent an emissary, someone who has also had personal experience in dealing with this fugitive occultist in the past. A nobleman arcanist himself by the name of Dante Arcades. It seems that the King of Navilon has sent along one of his own personal royal wizards to assist in the apprehension of Lord Pickett. The theocracy's open distrust of practitioners of arcane magic notwithstanding, Lord Harcades also claimed to be able to lead our team of investigators to Pickett's last known whereabouts. The royal wizard also insisted that Navilon was only interested in seeing Lord Pickett apprehended, and that given the nature of his crimes, the king agreed the church should have full jurisdiction in administrating justice. For the first time since the Battle of Bloodrain, I have felt the empathic twinge of approval from my Dragon Knight sword, and I know at last that the gypsy fortune teller had been right. The forces of good have endorsed this mission, and my redemption surely lay at the end of it. I set off from Solon for the first time with a spark of joy in my heart, and the sword's regular twinges of approval or disapproval to once again guide me on this quest to help this Inquisitor capture a devil-worshipping heretic. That has not stopped the Inquisitor from casting a wary glance my way every now and again, though I can't say for sure if St. Frostkiss has begun to suspect my fallen status yet. I doubt I'd garner much sympathy from the man if he knew about the web of lies that spun over the years to remain in the Pope's service. Additionally, I've noticed the temple soldiers are just as comfortable following the Inquisitor's orders as they are my own, which could be problematic should certain truths about me somehow come to light. Our group tracked Lord Pickett to the edge of the Surfless Hills, a territory precariously caught between both Navilon and the theocracy. The Pope and the King alike pay lip service to the sovereignty of the druids of the region, lest they risk reigniting ancient rivalries which would ultimately threaten to turn the hills into another obliterated landscape like the salted fields to the south. Consequently, we were forced to engage the services of a local elven druid by the name of Brother Mark Maple to be our guide in those trackless and unkempt lands. I, along with the churchmen in our company, seemed committed to completely shunning the druid's various superstitious warnings, and to make matters worse, but a few rainy days into our journey that caught us unprepared, I, along with a few of the men, have begun developing a cough. However, thanks to the druid's keen tracking abilities to guide us, we were able to lead our men directly deep into the wilds of the Surfless Hills, until at last we came upon an ancient buried structure so old it could very well date back to the age of the Titans, for all I knew. Yet even as Solaris began to dip behind the colossal branches of the impossibly tall World Tree to bathe the entire mountain range in shadow, we could start to make out a thin plume of smoke rising from the apex of the mound. Someone was home. We had found our target. At long last, the chance to prove I was once again worthy had finally arrived. Battle was coming. The Dragon Knight's sword thrummed with glorious approval. At long last, one more chance.
I see that I was wrong about you.
A chance to prove that she wasn't wrong about me. Was I a fool to seek my own redemption through the pursuit of another lost soul? As that quest has ultimately dragged me to the very hells themselves, how could I ever be certain? I can't possibly be sure of anything since arriving to this infernal place. Things were all finally starting to make sense again, and now? Again, my sword has fallen silent, and once more I have nothing but my own tainted heart to guide me, which I must now still somehow use to navigate through this hellish realm, with likely much more bloodshed before me yet. Blood there before us, and possibly a river of blood. Ever vivid remain the memories of my experiences at the Battle of Bloodrain, where the skies opened up all about me as armies of dragons above shed torrents of their lifeblood down, down, down upon that wretched scarlet beach.
Milton!
Hers mixed in too among all those countless droplets.
Milton! Please!
Yet even that terrible memory pales in comparison to this. For that beach was just the place I lost her. Could it be possible I've actually been brought to the hellish place I lost her to? Yet before me, and between me and those answers, stretches a river of blood. Blood. Just more blood to wade through.
Just so to get some clarification, is the river, like if we're approaching the river, is it running perpendicular to us, or is it running parallel to us?
Yes. At this point, it would be running perpendicular to you. I suppose you could say that, while directions are kind of arbitrary, we can say that it is running north to south, and you are coming, you're approaching west to east. Does that make sense?
That battlefield, is that which? That
would be to your southeast at this point, or actually even now at this point, almost directly south, where you are now.
Okay. And sort of, you said it's about a couple miles perhaps away where this battle is happening?
Yeah, actually, yeah. At this point, many miles behind you at this point, yeah. At this point.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we don't have to circumvent that or anything, but we have to go over the river.
No, you have circumvented it by going through the fields of fire.
Okay, I got
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yet we're standing in front of this river, then. I look to the Inquisitor. Is there anything that you can do? Any magics that Solaris can help us with?
I am not very skilled at moving water, nevertheless blood. I then turn to Pickett. 2 questions, Pickett. First of all, how, in the name of Solaris, were you going to make this entire journey by yourself? Second of all, did you have contingencies in place for this very sort of situation?
I was not sure what I would encounter. This is as new to me as it is you. But I know who I must find. I know what I must reach. Why don't you have one of your men go and test that water? See if it really is blood or if it's some kind of illusion. You've got plenty of soldiers.
I respond to Pickett's comment by raising an eyebrow and remarking, "Why send my men when I can do it myself?" And I walk forward and get ready to test the waters with my hand.
Very well. You move up to the edge of this, what appears to be actually a fairly shallow river of blood. But images of tormented faces spring up in the foam, caught in the eddies of the river to be dashed to bits of the rocks. Each such face seems to let out a faint scream when the current forces it against the rocks, and a muted howl comes from much farther upstream.
I stand, I frown, I very quickly mutter under my breath a prayer to Solaris, and I turn to Pickett and remark, "Funny, you seem to want to act as if you are not as devilish as you appear, Finnet. And yet, of all the places you could have escaped to, you chose a place with nothing in it but darkness, evil, and misery."
Well, this was the only way. Sometimes we must go through the forest to come out into the plain.
I walk up beside the Inquisitor and I look out and down at the water. Is it all like rocky? Would it be possible to traverse if we had some sort of vessel, like a boat?
Are you testing it with the with your quarterstaff, or how? What I can say is, yeah, okay. Well, what I can say is here, immediately on the shores, you would think that it's too shallow for a boat. Perhaps in the middle, it might be shallow enough, but you would have to test it. And like I said, it's a couple 100 feet across from bank to bank.
So, you think you could wade through it, or is it?
Potentially. There's no way to know until you try.
I take out my rope of entanglement I've tested a few times. I look to Milton.
I nod.
I believe it might be possible to traverse. It seems shallow enough. I'm not entirely sure if it will remain that way the whole way, but hopefully so. However, it might be worth attaching ourselves to each other just in case. What do you think?
I agree. I concur. Let us move together and let us wade across this river. We cannot remain here. We have places to be.
I kind of hold my hand out and stop the paladin and say, "We do not know if there are fell magics associated with that blood. I could cast detect magic and determine."
Do so, then.
Yes, go ahead.
You do know that's your only detect magic in memory, correct?
I know, but well, it's a scroll.
Oh, okay.
I turn to Dante and I say, "This is my only ability to cast this spell right now."
I see. Well, if it helps, I know it by heart.
I will cast this time. You can cast next.
Fine.
Very well.
Okay.
So
I'm
you're
gonna
casting
cast the-
detect.
detect magic. I'm gonna
Okay, great,
use up that
great.
scroll.
Okay, well, you cast, you read off the scroll explodes into fire and ash, and then you feel your consciousness change. Your vision is enhanced, and you can see the magical auras that surround people and things. And yes, while there, in essence, this entire realm is magic in some form, obviously there are concentrations of it. In the same way that, even technically elves are magic. You know what I mean? It's they show up slightly more dense than humans, but even humans have magic in them. It's that sort of thing. But regardless, what I will definitely say that you notice is there is not as much magic on your companions as you expected. While, for instance, the Inquisitor's sword still glows with a healthy magic aura, you get, like, for instance, from Sir Milton, his armor and his sword seem to almost have the residual auras of magic, as if they had been disenchanted, so to speak. Does that make sense?
So it's dim. I'm getting
Yes,
a
yeah,
dim aura.
yes, like they were magic, but they're not anymore.
Okay.
And there are a
the
number
river?
of items. And the river, while it is also magic in essence, it does not have an effect, at least not one that I think you're worried about.
Okay. So, because I could roll, I have a 60% chance to recognize types, schools of magic.
Oh, yeah. Well, no, I'm just going to give it to you because you burned the scroll.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. No, it's fine. It's fine.
Okay, but I
You think it's
I feel
safe?
as though this is safe to
Yeah.
cross.
Yes, you don't think contact with it will
But
cause any
before
undue
before I let the spell completely go, I will thoroughly examine each individual and see if I can get a bead on what's what.
I think that's probably fair. It's up to you guys how much you want to actually go through this, but just from a metagame perspective, basically anything on your sheet that's in red is something that was magic but isn't magic in Baator. Does that make sense?
That
So
makes
only-
sense.
Wait, it was magic, but it's no longer magic?
Yep.
Is the idea? Okay.
That's why basically only Saint Frostkiss has a magic weapon anymore. Well,
Yeah.
actually, the druid does too, but we don't need to go into that.
Okay. So there's not a
Yes.
whole lot. There's nothing hidden. Like I'm kind of looking for sort of hidden auras, things that are in pouches, pockets, things like
I'm
that.
happy to reveal that if you looked at me, you'd notice there's one small item somewhere on my person that seems to have the magic drained then.
Can I get a bead on this? Oh, but it's drained. So
Oh,
I'm
you
not-
might.
I'm not
You,
worried.
oh, is it an item he might recognize?
Yes, it is.
Ooh. But it's hidden. Is that what
Yes,
you're saying?
I've not. It's not hidden in such a way that it's like I've deliberately hidden it. It's more just it's
Yeah.
in my robes and armor.
Okay. But I'm getting a very dim aura off of that at this point. is the idea, Rob?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, but I'm going to roll to see if I can get so I got an 18 on a 60%, so I should be able to determine the school magic.
Yes, it is, whatever the enchantment is that makes a weapon, more stabby.
Oh, okay. Okay, so... okay.
Basically, whatever makes a weapon a +1 weapon,
yeah,
or whatever
okay.
+2 weapon, it's that kind of thing.
Okay, so... okay, but yeah, I turned to the group then after kind of giving everyone a thorough gaze, and I say, it seems as though the river should be fine for us to cross. I'm not detecting any overwhelming magic coming from it.
Very well. Now, can I use my rope of entanglement as a normal rope? Because obviously, normally it implies you're supposed to sort of spring it out and it ties someone up. But it's also just a rope, and it says it can tie up to 8 people. And I have rope use, so can I just tie people together?
Yes. If you want to basically make, basically just put everybody on a line so that everyone's secured, kind of like mountain climbing or whatever, you can totally do that.
Excellent.
Yeah,
Then
not a
I
problem.
shall begin this process. I will go up to Pickett and Dante and just remark, for protection, don't worry, I'm not going to be tying you up, just so that we have some security if one of us maybe suddenly falls or is dragged by a current. At least we'll be able to hopefully fight against it a bit better.
I understand the logic. That's fine, and I help securing it.
Very well. Well, you can all tie on to one single line. The real question I have, though, is what is the marching order? As far as the PCs are concerned, we'll assume that the men are all in last place.
Perhaps, Milton, you go first. I'll follow behind.
Yes.
All
I
right.
shall do so.
I'll go between Dante and Virgil.
Okay, fair enough. And that's fine. We'll say Mark Maple brings up the very, very rear behind all the other men, too. Okay, so the first 4 gentlemen in line, which is my 4 PCs, would you all please roll me surprise? Roll for surprise.
How
Can
does
we
that
do
work?
that again?
You roll it. You roll a die 10, and on 1, 2, or 3, you are surprised.
I'm surprised.
You're surprised.
I'm surprised.
You're surprised.
I'm not
Got a
surprised.
4. I'm not surprised.
All right, excellent. All right, so the holy men are not surprised, which will actually be good because they were in the lead. Okay, as you begin your awful process of wading across a literal river of blood, the stench of blood, both old and fresh, as well as the reek of hot blood cooked by the occasional exploded fireball, is horrible beyond measure. The squelching sound that these blood-slick rocks make against your souls, to say nothing, Pickett, of the fact that I believe you told me in your description you were just wearing sandals today.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah.
I am kind of like gathering up my robe, above the water line as much as I can.
As much as you can, but sooner or later you are all going to get bloody as you cross. The good news is, so to speak, it does not seem to get deeper than at most shin deep, at its deepest here. The rest is, while it is still rocky and difficult to traverse, it is not particularly deep. However, it is actually because the Paladin and the Inquisitor were not surprised. You are able to see, as you are approaching, there is a place where the shallows become slightly less shallow, sort of in your path, and you can see there, beneath the surface of the blood, some sort of long, snake-like creature is hiding beneath the surface. And because you saw it, you can avoid it.
Yes, I will very quickly lean towards Milton and remark, watch out. Let's see if we can get round this bit. I'm sure such a creature won't be able to follow us if we keep to the shallows. hopefully.
And that seems to be the case. As long as you keep... It does seem to actually follow you slightly, keeping to the deeper parts. And there is a part where you can even see where its form starts to crest the surface. And you can see beneath it it's some sort of horrific, worm-like creature that must be 10, maybe even 15 feet long. But it cannot reach you because you stay to the shallows. It cannot seem to get above the surface of the blood. And after a long, congealing, scabby mass that you must basically force your way through on the other side as well, eventually you find yourself coughing and sputtering, but on the other side of the river.
Take a moment to try and dry myself off, but at this point I am starting to look a mess. My holy robes and armor covered in blood, dust, filth, and my short hair encrusted with dirt. I'm not looking very happy.
Nor are the rest of the men who are staring in absolute fear at whatever that monstrous creature is lurking in the blood. But, say what you will, you managed to make your way across the river safely.
And I start to untie the rope from my waist and just shake my clothes off. I've been completely distracted with wading through it. I don't think I even saw the monstrous creature because I was trying to find good grip and where I was going.
Yeah, Finnet removes his cloak, and then basically all I'm wearing underneath is just this kind of underwear garment, which I remove, squeeze out, and then I kind of use that to kind of get as much of the blood off as possible. So I'm just standing there, this naked waif of a man trying to get the blood off, and then put those back, bring them out again, put them back on, and then put my cloak on, which hopefully I was able to keep above the blood well enough that it wasn't completely saturated.
Yeah, like I said, it was only, ankle, maybe shin deep. But nonetheless, you all look an absolute fright, as you can imagine. But you can see where the river starts to emerge from the mountains farther upstream. I assume it is to that direction that you head. Yes?
Yes.
It is indeed.
It is Stigmata Falls, after all, we seek.
Very well.
This river must come from that direction. And those are mountains, so there must be a fall that way.
Very well. And actually, it is worth noting, as you start to approach, you will cross upstream, now on, I guess, the east bank of the river, towards the mountains. And you can see there in the distance, if you remember, Dante, I had described very briefly sort of a strange plateau with other needle-like mountains atop it that you had seen from the distance. Now that you are much closer, you can see this stony structure much better, and you can see where it had played tricks on your mind, the illusion of it all, because it's such an impossible vision. But it is not, in fact, a plateau with 5 needle-like mountains protruding from the top of it. It is, in fact, a single stony hand. And from the palm of this hand runs a torrent of blood that tumbles down the mountainside to become a waterfall of blood that feeds this river.
What a sight. Gruesome.
What a ghastly sight indeed.
Just as an aside, Finot would want to collect some of this blood as a possible component. But my haversack is empty, so I'm wondering if I can perhaps make room amongst my magic components and free up a vial that I could fill with some of the blood.
I would say yes. You can probably transfer one of your. You probably have an empty live spider vial or something like that. Yeah, I'll say you can collect some. I'm not gonna make you roll for that. After you manage to collect yourselves and clean up slightly, after traversing this river of blood, you begin to make your way northwards, so to speak, along the eastern bank of this river, getting deeper and deeper into the mountains. Eventually, ahead of you, you can see a thin plume of white smoke, unlike the other smokes that you have seen thus far here in Baator, that seems to be pouring forth out of a large cave mouth that sits just beneath these falls. However, ringing the outside, basically the front yard, so to speak, in front of this cave seems to be a ring of posts, each which sports a skull on the top of it. And you are still some distance away, but you can make that much out. And Dante, you can even make out that those are human skulls on those posts.
Like completely cleaned off, not like heads.
Yes, completely cleaned off, and perhaps even with an eerie light glowing in the sockets.
Someone is expecting visitors.
Wonderful. I step up to Dante at this point and just remark, while taking in the grim sight, I've noticed you conversing with Filton. God knows about what. I need to ask you something.
Of course.
Are you committed to our mission currently of finding a way home? I need to know.
I will speak frankly with you that I have an interest in this place, in this realm of a scholarly type, of course. I have, however, no wish to stay here, and I'm not sure I believe in what he says about our world being, torn asunder, or whatever word he used. No, I wish to come back. My place, my family now is still among the royal wizards.
I nod and remark, good. I'm not saying I know we're going to get home. I admit it's possible we won't, but if we can, we must, for both our countries. If there is even anything we can do to stop whatever's occurred, if there is truth to his words, it needs to be done. Not only for my land, but for yours. I'm sure you do not wish your kingdom to fall to a conspiracy of dark magics.
No, I do not. And I look a bit perturbed, and not torn, but I clearly don't like envisioning this hell sort of spreading to our world.
I think I would know if he, because I can read people. I think I can get that he's telling the truth, yes?
I would think that you would at least, yes, there's a part of him that does agree with you, that does want what you want, and does believe what he says. It is clear that he is torn, but you're used to seeing that. Everyone has conflicts.
I nod and sigh and remark, I confess, the more I see of my quarry, the more I believe I may have been wasting many valuable years on nothing more than a fool, rather than someone who is actually worth my attentions.
I understand.
He will resist trying to go back, but he must. Maybe not necessarily to face justice, although he must, but he might be actually of great importance in saving our world.
What do you mean? Do you not intend to bring him back to your country?
Of course I do. But if he is, when we are back, willing to step up and actually, if there is a chance we can stop or fight against whatever's happened, if he's willing to assist with that, I would be willing... And I sort of just stop there. Well, we shall see when we get to that point. I don't know.
Very well.
I nod. Yes. Yes, I'm not sure what to make of that. I know he holds great knowledge of many things, but as you see, I also see a man who is torn.
All right. Well, very well. As this scene is going on, something else is occurring at the same time. One of the first men, one of the men in the second group, who had come through the portal, actually steps aside to get a private word with Sir Milton, if he will have words with this man.
Yes, of course. Of course.
Sir Vespers, I did not think it was appropriate to bring it up in front of these wizards, he says with a, little disdain in his voice. He says, but there was something that the royal wizard had said. Something about the sky changing, sir? How did he know about that, sir? He was right, After you disappeared, something did happen.
What did happen? Is it true? What he's saying is the world?
Sir, I don't know what happened, but I can tell you... Well, we heard you all scream, yes, sir? The first wave of men, they went into the mound to discover what had happened to you, and they didn't come out, sir. But that blue smoke, sir, it kept pouring out of the building, pouring out of the roof and out of the doors, and it started to grab the men, sir. They started to fall away, fall through it somehow. But, so we were fleeing, sir. We were fleeing the smoke, and it was as if the sky, sir, it was as if Nerith was triumphant, but he couldn't be triumphant. Solaris was still in the sky, sir, but it was blacker than the blackest night, sir. No stars at all, sir, just black. All of a sudden, and the only light, sir, that we could see, the only light at all was that blue smoke, and, well, some of us, we decided to take our chances with it, sir, and it looks like one of the men, as he thinks to the man whose arm got severed, one of the men didn't quite make it, sir, I think.
That is disconcerting. Very grave news indeed. Well, we shall have to pray that what you saw was not what you think it was. It is not the victory of Nerith.
Yes, of course not, sir.
Solaris will be victorious in the end. We must believe in that. We will find our way back to our families, back to our homes. Yes, we will not remain here. Just stay together.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I thought you would want to know, sir.
Thank you so much for bringing this to my attention.
Very well. All right, so at this point, let's get the party back together. These conversations are now over, and you guys are outside, basically, this cave with this sort of ring of fence posts about 30 feet away from the entrance.
So this must be it. This must be where she lives.
Her name, again, was Hexla is the name?
Hexla or Mother Gristle was the other name that he gave her.
Okay.
Are you approaching?
I'd say yes, but I draw over to Pickett quickly, and I remark, against my better judgment, Pickett, I am willing to concede this might be one area where you are better equipped to deal with things. Therefore, I'm willing to let you lead the negotiations with this creature. I feel I'd only just get angry. But I will be watching you very carefully.
Very well.
What should we expect? What should I prepare?
It is uncertain what we'll face. I do not know what manner of creature this will be. If it be another devil, perhaps a hag, who knows? But we must be on guard. Certainly there will be treachery. Certainly there will be crosstalk. Riddles. I have dealt with enough devils and demons at this point to know none of them speak true, none of them speak straight. I think it might be prudent at this point for me to cast and bring up an unseen servant to go before us, in case there be traps.
Agreed.
Very well. Do you cast that spell?
Yeah, if it's fine with everybody else. Fine with the Inquisitor. I look to the Inquisitor pointedly.
Yes, I'm willing to let you cast magics in this scenario, as long as they are actually beneficial.
Okay, so I'm going to cast Unseen Servant.
Very well. Well, an invisible servant known only to you appears at your side to do your bidding.
Okay, and that will last me 7 hours.
Okay, excellent.
Okay, so I basically send the Unseen Servant into the perimeter of the skulls, to the mouth of the cave.
Okay. Well, you send the unseen servant up to the... Basically, it approaches to where you know it gets basically close to the fence, so to speak, where the... although there's no crossbars, right? They're just posts. But as it approaches, the skull to which it is closest to, the eye sockets flare to light, an eerie green light, and the thing starts to shriek. And at that... you can hear some noise coming from the cave. Footsteps coming in this direction. Do you guys do anything as that happens?
What kind of footsteps? Is it like a big person or?
No, it sounds like a person, although it does sound almost like they're walking across loose stones, or even loose glass.
I will have my weapon ready, but I will just tell the men... Well, I look to Milton and tell him, have the men hold, for now.
Okay, so you're all staying outside the perimeter of these fence posts, I assume.
Yeah,
yes?
I withdraw my unseen servant back to my side.
All right, that's fine. It stops. The skull stops screaming, but the image of a figure comes out of the cave. Appears to be a woman. Dressed in sort of nondescript gray robes that cover her face and cover her arms. You can't see her face, and her arm is even in front of her face, so you can't even see that. And she comes basically out of this cave and looks in your direction and goes, "Pike off, Bex! Come no closer till you start rattling your bone boxes and I tumble to the dark of who you are."
Are you Mother Gristle? Are you the one known as Hexla?
I am. Who wants to know?
My name is Finnat Piggott. We are primes.
Come closer. Let me get a good peer at you. And she starts to come up closer to the edge of the fence.
Okay.
And she's fishing around for something in her robe. Are you guys doing anything?
I'm kind of...
taking a step to the side of to the side of Pickett to don't stand too close to him.
Okay.
I kind of insert my hand into the pocket of my robe and kind of grip my wand of magic missiles.
Okay.
But I tentatively kind of apprehensively take a step forward.
Okay, very well. How about you, Inquisitor? What do? You have your flaming sword in your hand, or is it still on your belt?
I keep the flaming sword on my belt. I have access to my scourge if necessary, but I will take a step forward, and I will quickly remark to Milton, under my breath, do have the men hold, unless it's necessary.
Agreed.
I'm afraid, even though I have no interest in dealing with such a creature, we may have to for the greater good. Understand?
I agree, and I sign and point to the men to hold.
They nod. They're professionals. All right. So this woman basically approaches. She pulls. She's actually holding two things now that you can see. In one hand, she holds what looks like a mace, very wicked-looking mace, actually, what we would call like a blade-back mace. And in her other hand, she holds a strange green jewel, faceted but not cut evenly, and she sort of holds that up to her eye, so you can only see sort of the misshapen bulge of her eye through the glass. And she looks at each of you up and down, left and right, and just goes, if I knew you was primes, I'd invite you inside. Let me go grab something to make sure. You don't mind, do you? And she starts fishing around she takes off a satchel and starts fishing around in it. Does anyone do anything or let her do that?
I just say, what do you reach for?
Holy water! And she pulls out a vial of what looks like, a reliquary or something.
I look a bit surprised.
And she unstoppers it, and you hear that squeak as she unstoppers it, and she goes, "Pour a drop of this on each of your foreheads so I knows you isn't fiends." And she actually hands it to the Inquisitor.
I study this holy water. Is it actually holy water? It certainly looks like it. I feel I'd know if it wasn't.
You could roll me religion.
I shall. 12.
Okay, I think that's success for you, yes?
Yes.
Yes, alright, yeah, you think this is holy water. You're not sure the faith, so to speak, but it does seem blessed. So does that mean you will apply a drop to yourself?
I shall. Remarking aloud, I confess I am surprised that you have such protections. You are wise.
Oh yes.
And I put it onto my head.
To you it is a drop of water. It does nothing to you. It does nothing to any of you, actually, if you all follow suit.
Yes, I do.
Yes.
Very well. Now, she seems satisfied, and she puts her hand down from her, or basically her arm down from her face, and you can see it's not some kind of witch, but it actually looks like a beautiful half-elven woman. And she actually takes now the cowl off her robe so you can see her full face. She smiles at you very prettily, and says, "Oh, very well. Girl can't be too careful these days, for fiends and the like about. But, what brings you lot to here? I assume you're here on business. Business is what I do."
We were told by a fiend some way back you could lead us to a place we are seeking.
Oh, I can sell you a great deal of information about Avernus, Beck. I know my way around here. Avernus, yes, the first of the 9 hells. Oh, you are primes, aren't you? Bunch of clueless bucks. And then at that point, her voice trails off as her eyes settle on the robes of Dante Arcades. And she seems to be assessing perhaps your heraldry.
I stretch a bit.
Says, "Are you Arcusians? I've not seen an Arcusian in a fiend's age. How did you come by that pretty little device?" she says as she basically points as like one of your magic brooches that has, or something that has a Arcades crest on it.
Well, I'm born into the family of Arcades. Our bloodlines have an origin of Aedan Far.
Well, I don't know much about that, but I know the Arcusian spelljammer when I says it. Very nice, you primes. If you're Arcusian, you're maybe not as clueless as I first thought.
Well, the Arcusian Empire has fallen a long time ago.
Oh, well, that might explain why I've not seen one around in some time, but, it was the Arcusians who were really the pioneers of planewalking and all the like, as well as traversing, all the mysteries of the worlds.
Finat kind of, there's a glint in his eye, and he kind of steps forward. He's like, "You speak with a lot of knowledge of the Arcusian Empire. Do you understand the Black Spire? The obelisk? The obsidian obelisk? Do you recall it from the ancient times?"
I may know a thing or two about it, but the question is, what are you willing to trade for it?
How now?
We should probably choose our questions wisely here.
Oh, yes.
Yes, first things first. Picket. The location of where we need to go.
Yes, we seek the Pillar of Skulls. What would you ask in return for information on its location?
Well, the real question is, Beck, what have you got to trade?
I step forward at this point and rummage around my belongings. Do I still have my jewel-encrusted dragon bones?
Of course you do. You use those for your divinations, don't you?
Yes, I'm loath to part from them, but I take them out and remark, these might be of use to one of your kind. Interested in magical trinkets?
She holds her hand out. Will you put one in her hand?
Yes.
Alright, she takes it, she examines it, she actually pulls out that little green gem and starts looking through that. examining it, and she goes, "Oh, silver dragon bone. Very rare in these parts, Beck. I'll take that for sure. Yes, I will trade you information about the Pillar of Skulls for this." And with that, she basically just palms it, and it's gone.
Maybe a bit more than that.
Well, she'll get started anyway, and you can see if you want to demand any more. She goes.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. She goes, the Pillar of Skulls, the Pillar of Skulls. Yes. It actually goes by quite a number of names, but that's one of the more popular ones. It's some sort of punishment for sages who've bobbed their customers, and it's got answers to most questions about the area. Ask it about a portal to where you're going, but make sure you ask it about the key, too.
The key.
You have to be more clever than it is, and they say the pillar's made of skulls of petitioners who peeled gullies for a living. It'll try to cut a deal with you, but you have to make sure you're getting the better end of it. Now, the question is how to get there. I can give you directions, or I can sell you a map.
How much for the map?
What you got to trade for it, Beck?
Didn't we just give you something in trade?
Oh, you're insisting. Okay, well then, yes, if you're insisting on the dragon bone being part of that, then go ahead and make me charisma. Inquisitor Virgil and Sir Milton, why don't you both roll me charisma, actually?
Okay.
I was stepping in there and I rolled charisma for it.
Oh, you did. You did. Okay. Sorry. What did you roll then, Dante? Sorry.
I rolled 2.
Oh, that's a very good charisma roll. Okay, so
Yes.
what I will say is, like, she hems and haws a little bit, and she's like, well, all right. It's not every day we get silver dragon bone here in Avernus, so she fishes around in her pouch, and she will pull out an ancient, dusty map that is basically in the process of falling apart. But she says this was a map created by the very famous demon cartographer Laz. He supposedly traversed the entire plains and created all sorts of really very useless maps, just like this one. And she then provides it for you. So if you would like, either or any of you could certainly describe this map to the listener, if you like.
Yeah, there is a... So, towards the top of the mountain, you see obviously the place that we came from is sort of a rocky, spiky promontory that rises up to these sharp pinnacles, and in the midst of that is the open maw of the thing that we came out of, that giant skull, or giant mouth with the tongue. And then, as we move down, you see the river flowing from a large lake, actually, up in these kind of like needle teeth hit mountains, where the open hand with the blood waterfall running from the palm flows down, and then that kind of meanders through a plain. There is it looks like there's some kind of pillar. Oh, that must be the Pillar of Skulls to the southwest from our location. There's this large pillar with all these tendrils rising from it, and there is a skull at the top of the pinnacle. And then directly south of our location, on the other side of the meandering river, there's some sort of massive castle structure. And then south of that is some kind of other structure that rises up from the plateau with lots of finger-like spines, and in the midst of it is some kind of bubbling cauldron, lake of fire kind of thing, it looks like. So, yes. This looks ominous.
Indeed. I look over the map as Filton looks over it as well. I try and make sense of the locations on it. I remark to him, where exactly are we now? Would we be just underneath the pillar
Yeah, I
The
believe
hat.
we're near the palm of the hand.
Okay, gentlemen, so now you have this map. What will you do next?
I turn to the witch and I say, right, so in order to get there, we must traverse down south over there. Is there any other advice you can give us for the way there? How to get there easy?
Well, I'll do my best, my pretties. To get to the Pillar of Skulls, follow the river until it starts to wind its way through a set of hills. Once past them, you'll come to a plain surrounded by more hills that form sort of a cul-de-sac at the bend in the river, a dead end. Head off to the right towards those hills across the plain, and soon you'll reach the pillar. If you wanted to give you information, you're supposed to pay the music, so have something ready to give it in return.
How long is this journey going to take?
This is your first time on the plains, Burke. You need to understand something. Distance. It's in your mind. Things take as long as they take. You'll get there when you're ready.
And what sort of offering do you think they would expect from us? Material?
Well, like I said, Pillar of Skulls is a punishment for sages who bulb their customers. Maybe they want information. Maybe they want something more substantial.
Mother Gristle. There is a thing that I brought with me that I was planning to use, but I had it in my haversack.
You brought a haversack to the Outer Plains? You really are clueless, Prime Beck. Very well, do you know why that is? Why your haversack is empty?
I cannot.
Bec-
Can only make assumptions.
Yes, well, was your assumption the fact that you're not connected to the ethereal plane here in the Outer Planes? And so your extra-dimensional pockets can't be connected to?
Say again.
You're cut off from the ethereal plane, Beck. Your extra-dimensional pockets can't be reached from here.
Is there no way to retrieve the items that I placed inside?
Well, I didn't say that now, did I? No, there's a way. Well, you're going to need to learn the spell key to this layer. That's something else I could trade for. But I'm not letting that one go for cheap.
Spell key. What does such a thing do?
Well, I suppose, in your mind, it'll make your magic work again.
What would you want? I have weapons. I have a silver dagger. I have a cold iron dagger. I have a amulet that that doesn't. I have an amulet that prevents people from detecting you.
Oh, that I might trade for. Or that lovely sword, as she gestures to the Inquisitor's belt. That's worth my information for sure.
Wonderful. I'm afraid it's not for trade.
How necessary is it that we retrieve these items, Pickett?
I fear that without the object I brought with me, we will not have payment suitable enough.
Milton, do you have anything perhaps you do not require?
I'm afraid that I do not have... Well, how about scrolls? I have something that will protect you from others' magics.
Oh yes, that's nice. I would definitely accept magical trade. The other thing I would tell you, Burks, is you know there's more than one way to get out of Avernus. Not exactly sure where you're trying to get to, but there are ways to get out. Ways on that map, in fact.
We are trying to return to our own realm, which, unfortunately, we have reason to believe might be very inaccessible. Therefore, I imagine the only way to access it will be something great indeed.
Indeed. Well, I suppose... I mean, the Pillar of Skulls undoubtedly would be able to tell you how to find a portal and a portal key to take you almost anywhere you'd want to go. But you do know that the River Styx runs through this layer of Avernus. The River Styx you can reach anywhere from. And not only that, Beck, but we're not all that far away from the Great Avernus Road. The Great Avernus Road, of course, leads to two very important places. Don't you know?
What places are those?
Well, the one is the obvious, isn't it? The gate town of Ribcage. Yeah? But the other one... the other one, do you know where that one goes? I might tell you for free. Because it goes to the scariest place you can imagine, of course.
Well, tell us then.
Tiamat's Dungeon Kingdom.
Tiamat.
Well, I think we can all agree that that one is right out.
Is it, though?
Is that somewhere we would like to go? That's... you think?
I don't know. Sir Milton, do you have an opinion on the matter?
Tiamat. No.
Milton.
That is not a good idea.
I say, listen, we are trying to get to the city of Sigil. It is our only path. It is all that is important right now.
Very well, then you're probably right. The Pillar of Skulls is going to be your best bet, Bucks. You better get a move on.
But the key, this key, we need information on how I can retrieve the objects from my haversack.
And I'll just remind you ever so kindly the part with some of your magic, and I will tell you.
All right. Milton, offer some of your scrolls, please, if it will get us the key information for his item that he believes is so important.
Certainly. For the good of the group, I shall offer up my scroll of protection from magic.
Very, very powerful, and she greedily accepts it and says, very well, Bucks. The spell key to this layer is actually surprisingly simple. All you need is a shard of obsidian from an exploded fireball. Unfortunately, you'll probably need one that's about the length of a wand. But you do that, and your magics should work as you expect.
Well,
Your haversack, however, is another matter. That will take some fixing. However, I believe I have a method to do that. If you'll follow me.
Okay.
She turns around and she starts to head back towards her cave. Does anyone want to follow her?
I will follow her.
Okay.
I'm desperate enough at this point.
Anyone else?
I gaze away first down the river, and I think, yes, we'll probably pass by those craters and probably more explosions. Maybe there we'll find one of those shards. And then I see them going off, and I hesitate for a second, then I hurry after them.
Okay, very well. Well, you guys can enter her cave. It is very quickly upon entering the cave, the floor of this area changes, and you can see that there is a carpet, a veritable layer of foot and a half long shards of obsidian that are all laid out in a sort of unfolding pattern in a circle around what appears to be a cottage, a little quaint cottage that this white smoke is escaping from that is in this cave. However, at first glance, the cottage would strike you as something almost akin to like a fairy tale, something very quaint. You would almost expect it to be made of something like candy or gingerbread or something like that. However, upon closer inspection, you realize that the building is not in fact made of sweets, but of meats. Slices of ham create the stepping stones. The curtains are prosciutto. The walls are made of sausages. The roofs are tiled in bacon, and the whole thing is covered with a horrendous swarm of black, biting, buzzing flies. And she just sort of waves them away as she comes up to the door and sort of opens it with a big sort of ham bone doorknob and gestures for you to enter her home.
Rude.
However, I will say, Sir Milton, you're coming with, right?
Yes, I am. I'm following. I'm walking last.
Okay. All right. Then you would be the first to notice. You would be the first to notice because suddenly, immediately, actually, as soon as you enter this cave and start walking across these shards of stone, the voice, or more to the point, the empathic thrumming of your sword returns with the most horrendous disapproval.
I'm taken aback by this. What makes it come alive? Is it these stepping stones? Is that what's doing it?
Who knows? Who can say? But that witch, she must die.
I wonder. No. But the sword is telling me to do it. Yes. I try to hold back a little bit.
Or well, you can. It doesn't control your actions. It's more just like a voice on your shoulder. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It can't make you do anything. You know.
No.
Well, actually, technically it can, but you have to really take a lot of damage before it could take over your willpower.
I have grown accustomed to it, though, and following its lead has been something that I have been able to trust it in the past. So hearing this, of course, makes me wonder if that is not the best course of action. But I am torn. I hold back, but I'm considering the option.
Okay, well, very well. Do you all then enter her home?
Yeah.
I stop and look at this horrific home. I'll be honest with you, I'm very much wondering what the meat is. And I remark, you know what, Finnet, you can go in and do your deals for your little item, whatever it is. We'll wait for you outside.
Very well. Who will anyone else be accompanying Lord Pickett as he enters the home?
I shall wait outside.
What about you, Lord Dante?
Yes, I hesitate as well, and seeing this crude home with the flies, it sort of makes me uneasy. Something might not be right if she manages to draw us in there.
Well,
I think I'll stand outside as well.
so only Pickett is going in, is what you're saying.
Yes.
Very well. She will shut the door, and finally, Lord Pickett, you have some privacy.
By the sun's holy light, it would seem I am doomed to have to spend my life chasing after Lord Filton. Finnet Pickett! Damn it all to hell! Though, now I should be ashamed to utter such a curse so flippantly, for it's no longer in vain. The gods could not have imagined a more hellish fate for me, and to be ever following in the footsteps of that damned occultus all across creation to these fields of damnation, to this corrupt place. The irony might drive a lesser man to madness, for I remain committed to escorting Lord Pickett to safety across this hellscape, and if Solaris wills it, all the way back home, if only for him to immediately face the Pope's righteous justice, which will likely just send Lord Pickett's soul screaming all the way back here. The irony is downright cosmic. Still, apparently to find our way out of this place, we must first trust the information of those damned souls who lied for a living. Fortunately, I've learned from some of the very best on how to sniff out a lie. Yet, my quarry insists he still needs the help of this strange woman, this Mother Gristle. And so, perhaps against my better judgment, I've allowed Finnet to go and speak to her alone in her ghastly cottage. I'm honestly not sure which of us is the greater fool. For some of his words do actually make me doubt a little. Is it possible I'd be wrong about him? At least in some ways. mustn't let our situation cloud my judgment. Please, Solaris, guide your servant through this hell. If only so I can return to you.
This episode features music from the enhanced soundtrack of the classic video game Planescape Torment.
Created by Black Isle Studios and provided courtesy of the brilliant folks at Beamdog.
Visit beamdog.com to access digital downloads of more classic RPG video games, remastered gaming soundtracks, and other great role-playing resources.
This episode of To Baator and Back features music from
Metatron Omega,
Off the album, Gnosis Day,
And from
the Cryo Chamber collaboration,
off the album, Yog Sothoth.
and made available courtesy of their label Cryo Chamber. Visit cryochamber.bandcamp.com for more dark ambient.
Various music and Foley content used in this program has been made available for use under the Creative Commons by Attribution 3.0 license. But extra special thanks is due to Kevin MacLeod of Incompetech, David Feslian at feslianstudios.com, and the many inspired folks over at zapsplat.com and freesound.org. The Black Spire RPG campaign episodes simply would not be possible without the use of these resources.
If you're curious for more, find Black Spire Studios on Facebook or visit Robert Randle's site, thereliquum.com, a blog about art and magic, comics and gaming, and how they all tie together, for more information concerning his various projects. You can follow him on Twitter at thereliquum and his actual play podcast at Black Spire Pod.
And releasing on the weeks opposite to Black Spire, you can hear Rob and Aaron on their other podcast, Adventure Hook, where each episode these two comic book pros develop a random story idea for game masters to incorporate into their own RPGs. Find Adventure Hook on Facebook and Twitter, and also be sure to follow Aaron using his handle at allmancampbell. And be sure to submit new ideas for their random D20 tables using the hashtag #NewAdventureHook.
And of course, be sure to visit redmoonroleplaying.com to listen to more dark actual play RPG adventure,
including such games as Cult Divinity Lost,
The Curse of Strahd,
Vampire the Masquerade, and a lot of other games and one-shots.